Wanted to do a quick example of using diameter and radius of circles to find their circumference and find their area. Just a little recap of what we talked about the other day in notes to help you with the assignment and everything else as you go through it. Quick recap, some things that we have talked about as far as what radius and diameter are. Remember, radius is half of the diameter because radius just goes from the center of the circle to any point on that circle, whereas diameter goes all the way across the circle and through the center. So diameter, remember, is twice the radius, and we've used that in a couple different ways in the formulas. But that's something that we should already have in our notes and should have a pretty good handle on. We talked about the formulas for circumference and for area. Remember, there are two different formulas for circumference because of the way radius and diameter relate to each other, and because I can just multiply the radius by 2 to get the diameter. We have two different formulas for circumference. We have one formula for area. Remember, since area is in square units, that's the only place where you're going to see the radius squared. Area equals pi times radius squared. Remember, we talked a little bit about pi and the fact that it's an irrational number and it never ends and it never repeats. That doesn't make it very easy to work with if we wanted to be exact. So if I say to be exact, you would just leave the pi symbol in there. You'd leave that Greek letter in there, and that'd be your answer. And that's as simple as it gets. You'll see that a lot more as you move up in your math careers. For now, we're going to approximate using either 3.14 or 22 over 7 for pi. So let's go back to that problem that we have here. It says the diameter of a basketball hoop is 18 inches. This is all true stuff, by the way, especially as you look at that top-down view. Some of you guys should be making more shots. Let's work on our game a little bit. But it says the diameter of a basketball hoop is 18 inches. The diameter of a men's basketball is a little over 9 inches. Women's basketball is right around 9 inches, as a matter of fact. Use this information to find the circumference and area of a basketball hoop. So notice we don't necessarily care about the basketball information. That's just to show you how much better you should be shooting right now. To talk about the actual circumference in the area, let's work with the circumference first. It says, if you remember our formula, circumference either equals pi times diameter or 2 times pi times the radius. Notice it gave us the diameter of 18 inches. As I picture this basketball hoop here, that's 18 inches all the way across. I can just take pi times 18. Remember, when we set these up, you can actually pretend that the decimal isn't there at first. Just put the bigger number on top like you normally would and then multiply. 4 times 8 gives you 32. We're doing some carrying here as we go. Check your multiplication, check my multiplication. When I get to the second set, remember, don't forget to put the place value in there, the placeholder. It's always nice and simple to multiply by 1. Bring these down, and we're almost done. The one thing I want you to remember now as we get to this point, however many decimal places are in our factors, we need to include in our answer. Since I see 2 decimal places up top, I'm going to start at the right and move it 1, 2 places to the left. My final answer for circumference, or the distance around the perimeter of the circle, would be 56 and 52 hundredths inches. Don't forget your label. Area is a little trickier. Remember, area was pi r squared, so we need the radius. If I look up at that basketball hoop again, remember, radius would be from the center to any point. That's half of the diameter. So if the radius was 18, or excuse me, if the diameter was 18, the radius would be half of that and would be 9 inches. The radius is 9 inches. So area equals pi times 9 squared. Remember the order of operations. You have to square that first before you can multiply. So notice 9 squared is 18. I'm going to multiply that by pi. We'll use 3.14 for pi again. We're going to multiply this by 81 to get our approximation. We see that we're multiplying by the 1 first this time, and then we'll multiply by the 8. Just so happens we kind of had some interesting relationships there. Should see similar multiplication though. Add them up. And then remember, count your decimal places. We have 2 decimal places up here. We have 1, 2 there. And you have an area of 254 and 34 hundredths inches squared. So just a really quick example of how we could find circumference and area given either diameter or radius. Remember the formulas that we've talked about and how we could apply them. Make sure we understand the vocabulary of radius and diameter. And based on this problem and the fact that the hoop is about twice as big across as a basketball, let's all go shoot some hoops so we can have a better basketball season this year. Good luck.